Hey, shall we get into some matchups? We got a lot of marquee ones for
Yeah,
week one. Okay.
let's do it.
And why we don't got to go any further than kickoff Thursday night football, baby. Chiefs and the Ravens here. So
Woo.
solid, absolutely solid matchup here. So from what our numbers say, we basically put this at a pick 'em. This opened at 3, and not that I saw, correct me if I'm wrong if you saw something different, but not a ton of movement. Been hanging around that 2.5, 3 pretty much all since open, basically. So, Steve, want to bring you in here, man. First of all, what a way to kick off the season, right? And then secondly, what are we getting, baby? What are we getting with these teams, and who do you think comes out?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because continuity is going to be the key, right? I mean, obviously, these are two AFC champion caliber teams going into last year. We saw how that played out. But you look at the Ravens right now, when we talk about efficiency, we always talk about EPA or expected points added, and we break that down from rushing to offense. And the Ravens were number 3 EPA per rush in the league last year. Now, J.K. Dobbins is gone, Gus Edwards is gone. From the receiver standpoint, you got Odell's gone as well. So what does that look like? Now, of course, Baltimore's got Derrick Henry, right? And what is Derrick Henry going to do this year? I'm really excited to see that. But my biggest question mark for Baltimore is going to be that O-line. Right. So Baltimore lost 3 offensive linemen. And so I'm just really kind of curious to see, can they continue to protect that O-line? Can they make rushing lanes for Lamar? Can they protect Lamar first and foremost? Can they make rushing lanes for Derrick Henry? And can they keep that offense going? We know Lamar has some injury issues last year, but really kind of the last couple of years. Tyler Huntley's gone now. They got Josh Johnson as the backup. So I think from that standpoint, my biggest question mark for Baltimore is going to be the explosive offense. On the defensive side of the ball, they've lost some pieces as well. But quite frankly, I think they're going to be fine. No Davian Clowney, no Ronald Darby, no Geno Stone. But I'm not too concerned there. From the Chiefs standpoint, I mean, listen, sky is blue, water is wet, and the Chiefs offense is going to win games for them. We didn't see that much last year, right? But we talked about how their defense really carried them. Chris Jones is back. I really don't have a lot of concerns outside of what's their wide receiver core going to do, right? So Rashee Rice, we kind of hear that he's not going to be suspended until probably 2025. So he came on last year. He should be there. Marquise Brown's not going to play week 1. So there may be a little bit concerned there. Travis Kelce's 35, but I doubt this team so many times, and yet they continue to prove me wrong. So I've been a little hurt here, but I do like the model. What they're saying here, to me, it's a pick 'em. See slight edge on Ravens with points, but I'm just going to enjoy the game as a football fan.
I got a question for you guys. Are the Ravens 7.5 points worse than they were last year?
No,
they're not.
You would think not, yeah.
I don't. You tell me.
Yeah,
there's no way. There's no way the Ravens got 7.5 points worse, because everyone's talking about this offensive line move. They actually lost 2 offensive linemen, or they lost 3, but they got 1 in free agency. So I'm not as concerned, and there's no way the highest rated DVOA offense of all time, the Ravens last year, is 7.5 points worse than they were last year. This line closed Chiefs plus 4.5 last year in the playoffs, and now we're sitting at plus 3 Ravens. That's a 7.5 point move. That is insanity. I don't know what's going on with the market. To your point, Kevin, I saw that depending on what market maker you looked at, it looks like it opened at 2.5, and then to your point, it's kind of been moving back and forth between 2.5 and 3. But as of right now, is sitting at the 3, which I think is interesting. We're talking about Kansas City, who was the 10th overall defense last year and 8th overall offense. So still a very good offense. We were typically used to thinking of the Chiefs as the number 1 offense, but they took a little bit of regression there. But we're talking about Baltimore as a 2nd overall defense and the 6th overall offense. So I mean, this is a really good team. Both these teams are really good. Obviously, Kansas City won the Super Bowl. The thing there with the defense on Baltimore losing their offensive coordinator, I think, is probably a reason that you're seeing some of the market buy Kansas City here. But the thing that's intriguing about that on, the yin and yang here is you're getting second year with Monkenin in the offensive coordinator. So do you get, do you take a little bit of a step backward defensively, but do you take a bit of a step forward offensively? That's something I'm really wanting to see in week 1 here. And I think I agree with you, Steve. I think this is going to be a good game. If you have to bet this, I think you unfortunately have to take the 3, because again, You ask yourself that question. Are the Baltimore Ravens 7.5 points worse than they were 6 months ago? If your answer is no, you have to take the +3. If your answer is yes, I think you're crazy, but then I can understand the logic of you wanting to bet the Chiefs. But if you think that answer is no, I think you have to take the points here.
Yeah, well, okay. Let me ask something though. So not just are the Ravens 7.5 points worse, but could the Ravens be 4 points worse or 3.5 points worse, but the Chiefs 3.5 or 4 points better, right? Because you look at this, I guess for me, the
Okay.
question mark I have here is, so again, we go back to the defensive side of the ball. I think that's the biggest question. Jadeveon Clowney, Rock is seeing Ronald Darby, Geno Stone. Like, there's a lot of pieces are gone. Like, yeah, you still got Roquan Smith. You still got some of those safeties. That's cool. But for me, what I'm concerned about is who did the Chiefs have last year, right? Especially the first half of the year, right? We talk about Kadarius Toney being absolute ass all year long. Rashee Rice didn't really come on until the end of the year. Travis Kelce had a down year per his standards. But now you have Xavier Worthy. Now he's a draft pick. Who knows how he's going to turn out? Marquise Brown, again, won't be playing in this game, so you can't say too much there. But I think you have better receivers or better receiving core for Pat Mahomes. And there's that unknown of could we have a resurgence to a 2022 offense? Now, that's just my personal question. I'm legitimately throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Can you buy a moderate decrease and increase in both teams to get to 7 or 7.5?
It's a fair point. But I think for me, the touting that's going on is we're talking about Baltimore and all of the pieces they lost on defense. Kansas City lost a bunch of pieces on defense as well. So
L'Jarius Sneed, Willie Gay,
like do a bunch of these. Like, do both of these defenses take a step back? And we don't really have a whole lot of reason to think that either of these offenses are going to struggle. And so that's more my larger point. I feel like this is such a huge move from where we were last year. So I'm just perplexed. I definitely agree with you. This doesn't have to be as extreme as I'm making it, but that is an interpretation, right? That is a potential angle. Now, to your point, what are we going to get here? I think all of the fans are hoping we're getting a shootout. And I would say, as of right now, that would be what I would be looking at. And so if you're going to get in a shootout, field goal, you're at least pushing at the 3.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid.